he is in control of his image, of his this and his that. That's not necessarily a negative thing. Lots of people are like that.
I have heard, just not to interrupt you, but I have heard anecdotes, stories about Ohtani that I could not believe he was so detail and attention oriented.
Right.
So the idea that he would miss this, given the fact that I know those things, is even unlikely.
Fair. What I meant by that was, though, he might have said to the Dodgers, I don't want anyone else up there but me. I mean, that would be another explanation for this. Look, the bottom line of it is there are things that seem hard to explain that I accept as explicable. Then there are things that I do not think are explainable. Like someone was able to 9 different times wire $500,000 at a time to an illegal or a bookmaking operation that is being investigated is impossible to believe. Like, there's just no way that happened. So I don't know what happened, but that didn't. This one person did not execute this all by himself. There's just no way that happened.
And if there's someone in Major League Baseball that is listening to this right now, just be transparent with us. Major League Baseball has gotten itself into so much more trouble historically by doing the opposite. See the steroid scandal. See the Astros sign stealing scandal. There's going to be a reflex in that office to handle this with kid gloves because Ohtani is your most prized asset. But the truth is going to come out one way or another. It's better that you uncover it than someone at ESPN or some investigative reporter for the New York Times or anyone in between.
Yeah, I think that's right. Look, I don't know exactly what happened there. I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what didn't. And it is, there's no good way this ends. Like, there's no way this ends well. It's very difficult for me to picture an ending where he winds up not having been involved in literally anything, and it winds up being a blip on the radar and having no impact on him or his career.
Do you think there's any chance that we learn that it was Ohtani and his translator that actually stole the Yager bobbleheads to pay off the debt? $225 a pop, get you to $4.5 million.
That's the thing. Like, you can't misplace 20,000 bobbleheads. And you can't misplace $4.5 million of someone else's money that easily. It's one thing if you found some brilliant way to embezzle it or, you know, they had it stuffed in a pillowcase someplace.
Ain't what happened here.
Once you start acting wire transfers or enacting them, you got a lot of people involved. All right, we'll see where it all goes. And we'll see you tomorrow on ESPN Radio.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's the first thing you do if you had more time in the day? Nap, read, talk with a friend? When you know what's more important to you, it's easier to fit it into your schedule. Therapy can help you figure that out. BetterHelp offers affordable online therapy that comes to you. Start the process in minutes and switch therapists anytime. Visit BetterHelp, HELP.com/Greenberg today to get 10% off your first month.
Win the battle against rust and corrosion with PB Blaster at O'Reilly Auto Parts. PB Blaster quickly busts loose rusted, corroded, or frozen parts. PB Blaster is great for everything from bolts to frozen locks. Right now, pick up an 11-ounce bottle of PB Blaster for just $6.99, plus get 2 times O Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we opened a store and need a fast checkout stage.
Thanks. You're all set.
That count it up and ship it around the globe stage.
This one's going to Thailand.
And that, wait, did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Whatever your stage, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/play.
The regular season is heating up. New stars are emerging, and that means more opportunities to win up to 25 times your cash on Prize Picks. Select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, and place your entry. It's that easy. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code BALL. That's code BALL on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Tax day is coming.
Oh, no.
But if you sign up for Robinhood Gold's IRA with a 3% match, you can get up to $195 for the 2023 tax year.
Oh,
yeah.
Sign up at Robinhood.com/boost by tax day to get the biggest contribution match on the market. Subscription fees apply.
Investing involves risk. 3% match requires gold for 1 year from first match. Must keep IRA for 5 years. Robinhood Financial, LLC, member SIPC.
Get to the live events you love with the assist from Vivid Seats. Whether it's the upcoming baseball season, basketball, or hockey, experience it live with a 100% buyer guarantee. And with great deals on great seats, being there is all that matters. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards you can earn with every ticket purchase, including surprise seat upgrades, birthday discounts, free tickets, and more. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Your family's go-to dish is what?
Ooh, this is so tough because there's so many good ones, but my grandma from Italy has a famous pasta sauce that we make, and the best dish that my grandma made, which is therefore the family dish, is her lasagna. My grandmother would not give the sauce recipe until all the girls in the family were 18, and then we went over there and we learned how to cook it together.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. Carlin versus Joe on ESPN Radio.
Russell Wilson, you know what I just cannot stand? The workout video. You know who's also infamous for this? Ben Simmons, where he is hitting threes left and right.
Always shirtless, covered in sweat. He's putting a three up, and everyone reacts. It's like, you know what? Simmons is looking good. This could be the year. Spoiler, it's never going to be the year for that guy. Ever. Get over it.
Carlin versus Joe. Weekdays at noon Eastern on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and on SiriusXM Channel 80.
This time belongs to those who want it most. The rivals. The statement makers.
Puts up a three-pointer. Bang!
You want that shot?
Oh, he puts it in!
Take it. That stop? Make it. This time is where youth is tested and greats are challenged. Clippers, Sixers at 7:30 Eastern. Suns, Nuggets at 10. Wednesday on ESPN. Presented by State Farm.
Welcome and happy opening day to everyone. Major League Baseball returns. Play ball.
The Texas Rangers, for the first time ever, are World Series champs.
The World Series champion Texas Rangers welcome Cody Bellinger and the Chicago Cubs. Coverage begins Thursday at 7 Eastern, with first pitch at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
2424.
We're just getting started. Nothing stops this train. Nothing.
Get used to the mantra, all gas, no brake, no brake, no brake.
From the headquarters of ESPN in Bristol, Connecticut, this is Carlin versus Joe on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
You better believe it is. And today, you know what we've got? We've got questions and we've got some answers. But we've got many, many questions involving Shohei Ohtani, involving Jonte Porter, involving the NFL draft and Mike Tannenbaum's latest mock NFL draft, which if you haven't seen it, you should stay tuned because we're going to talk to Mike, and it is some wild stuff. It's Carlin versus Joe on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. I'm Chris Carlin. He's Joe Fortenbaugh. Good afternoon.
A little bit of false advertising off the top there. Plenty of questions, yes. Not sure this show is one to dabble in the answers department. Oh. Questions, speculation, and then the segment generally ends and we're on to the next thing. So let's not promise any answers. We're not about answers. We're not about conclusions. We're not about nice, tidy finishes. We're about taking something that's a little messy, making it far worse, and then walking away.
Well, I'm about solving problems, so perhaps we should have a larger discussion about where this show is headed and if, in fact, this is a long-term fit for us.
Solving problems. How many of those have you successfully completed since we started this 7 months ago?
It's not about how many I've been able to solve so far, Joe. It's about constantly moving forward in the process, as you always espouse. It's about the process. We are presented by our friends at Progressive Insurance. For a job you'll love, visit progressive.com/careers. Let us start with Jonte Porter. In case you have missed this story, it is out of the NBA last night, and it is a story that was broken by Woj about Jontay Porter. And last night, David Purdom, ESPN sports betting reporter, joined Amber and Ian to describe exactly what's going on with Jontay Porter of the Toronto Raptors.
These irregularities were on prop bets involving Porter, and those are over-under on amount of points he scores in the game or number of rebounds, so things like that. And he, being a low-profile player, if there is a significant rise in interest in betting on him, all of a sudden something kind of red flags go up at sports books, and that's kind of what happened here. There were two games, one in January and one in March, where sports books detected irregular betting interest on player props. People were coming in there wanting to bet lots of money on the under on his props. In both of those games, Porter left with playing less than 10 minutes. The first game, he cited a lingering eye injury. The second game, which was just last week, Thursday against the Kings, he said he had the flu. And in both of those games, sportsbooks said they took a lot of unusual betting interest on his player props.
Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you to start because this is your area of expertise, your immediate reaction to this story involving Jontay Porter and all of these irregularities.
He is in big trouble. He is in big trouble. He is a relatively unknown NBA player. This is not a marquee guy. And we have not one but two instances in which sports books took an abnormal, or as Purdom says, irregular amount of money on prop bets, specifically surrounding him, that ended up being winning bets. And in those two very specific instances, he exited the game with ailments not to return. Now, let's give an example. In late January, his prop bets were something like over under 6.5 points, over under 3.5 rebounds, over under 1.5 assists. And here's one of the key ones: over under half a made 3-pointer. So you could bet yes or no, over under, would Jontay Porter have a made 3-pointer in that game? Mm-hmm. Now, in order for there to be action, okay, the guy has to play. If he's ruled out before the game starts, all bets are refunded. So Porter goes out and plays in this game, does not hit a 3-pointer, and then exits the game with an aggravated eye injury that had happened a few days prior. He had aggravated his eye in some matchup. He leaves the game. He doesn't return. All those unders bets cash. Okay? Happens once. All right. That's a little suspicious. Happens again a couple months later. This is an unknown player who's drawing a ton of attention. In both instances, you had the sports book come out and say, this was the most popular bet of the night. That does not happen, my friend. The most popular bet of the night is never an under on an unknown player who checks into the game and then leaves under suspicious circumstances due to an injury. This is how they fix tennis. They find men, women, not Nadal or Federer. They find lesser-known people, and they have them take a dive, so to speak. They go out, they play a set and a half. They might even be winning. And then hamstring tightness, they're out. They withdraw, the other person wins, all the bets get paid out. That's what they're doing now. That's what appears to have happened here. Not saying he's guilty. I'm saying it looks horrible for him.
I came out of this whole thing initially incredibly encouraged on a couple of fronts. Number one, the fact that after two instances, granted, as you pointed out, this is not a prominent guy, and those are going to raise some red flags, but immediately they are able to identify there's a major problem here, and we can take him out of the mix. He is now not playing as this investigation goes on, and immediately restore any sort of doubt as to him being on the court during these kind of instances. Secondly, it's funny, when the leagues really started to get involved with the sports books and started to take the money, they talked about the integrity fee, and we all were kind of like joking, oh, well, that's, the league's getting their piece, right? Well, they also do have these people to pay attention to the integrity, because there is nothing more important in all of this, Joe. Not just the betting part of it. The fans have to be able to trust the results of a game. Have to be able to trust that the results were not in any way influenced by anybody purposely tanking. And I think this was incredibly important for the league and could end up being best for the long haul if the NBA finds out he did this on purpose and make an example of him and once again just kind of show, hey, you do this, you're not going to be in the league, period. It's over.
Yeah, there's a misconception that the rise of legalized sports betting is going to lead to more of these instances. In reality, it's going to lead to more of these instances being recognized immediately and being shut down. You're not having this happen now because sports betting is suddenly legal. Need I remind you of Tim Donaghy, Benny Sillman at Arizona State? If you're unfamiliar with that, look it up. Boston College men's college basketball team. Pete Rose, South African cricket, the White Sox scandal of 1919. There are bad actors throughout history. There are bad actors throughout all of sports. There are bad actors pre-legalized sports betting in America and post-legalized sports betting in America. You will not be able to eradicate this completely because that's just the nature of the world. There are bad actors in all shapes and sizes in all industries. The good thing here is that with regulation and legalization, there's increased scrutiny. So when something like this happens, it is caught immediately. A sportsbook knows how much action it should take on a Jonte Porter prop, okay? When it takes X times however much more they took than normal, and it's the most popular prop of the night, and it's an under, and he withdraws from the game, and the bet hits, and then it happens again 2 months later, something highly suspicious is taking place there. So if you are the NBA and you come to the conclusion through evidence that he participated in this, you ban him for life instantaneously, sending a message to both the fans and the players in the game and the future players in the game that this will never be tolerated.
Joe, do you think this would have gotten caught if we were not in this era now of legalized sports gambling outside of Las Vegas?
It's possible it would have slipped through the cracks. But the leagues have always had a relationship with Vegas. This goes way beyond, well before there was legalization, that if there was suspicious activity taking place in the market, bookmakers, sportsbooks in Las Vegas had a direct line. They were alerting leagues on this sort of thing. This right here, to put it in perspective, you can't bet that much on a player prop. No matter who you are, you can't go into a sports book and put $1 million on Jonte Porter under half a made three-pointer. Those props are usually capped somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $2,000. So when someone's trying to get $20,000 down on this and the bet hits, that's one thing. When you're trying to get $20,000 down and the bet hits because the guy withdraws after 4 minutes, that's as suspicious as it gets. And when it happens a second time, now you probably have all the evidence you need. I'm not saying he's going to be found guilty. I'm saying this looks horrible because this isn't new or unique. This is how they fix games or fix matches in tennis. You would have someone dominating. They'd be up one set, and then in set two, they could be up 3-1, and then they just retire due to hamstring tightness or a back injury, and boom, just like that, the other person wins, and no one pays attention. The only reason it's caught is because of the volume of money bet on it. It's highly suspicious given the average amount normally bet on a match like that.
You know, the other thing that makes me suspicious on this whole thing is they tried to take it and separate it. You know, we'll give it 2 months before we take another shot at it. And at least that's what it looks like. And that's not even remotely something that is not going to raise suspicion just because somehow it didn't happen in back-to-back weeks.
Right.
Oh, they'll forget about it. No, these guys don't forget about anything.
No. When the book, let me tell you something, when the book gets beat, it is well aware it got beat. When you go in, you can have a losing bet and get banned from books because they know you're sharp. Sharp means sophisticated. Sharp means long-term you're going to bet them. If you walk into a sports book, I'm not going to say in Vegas because there are books that welcome sharp action, but you can go into some of these square books that are looking to limit winning players. You can walk in there, bet $500 on, let's say, any sort of random college basketball game. And if 2 minutes after you make that bet, the line moves across the board, across the world, that's a sharp move. They know you're operating with a group. They know that you are a professional. They'll ban you. You might lose that damn bet, and you might be either banned or limited to $5 wagers moving forward because they can tell you're sharp because you made the bet right before the line moved worldwide.
It's Carlin versus Joe, ESPN Radio, just getting started on this Tuesday. We're also on Sirius XM Channel 80. Somehow, it's not the only gambling controversy right now, and not even the biggest one. Imagine that. We've got the very latest on Shohei Ohtani next. Carlin versus Joe, ESPN Radio, including on TuneIn.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. Coming up Wednesday with the Major League Baseball season about to get going, I'll tell you which on-field storylines you should be paying attention to. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
The regular season is heating up. New stars are emerging, and that means more opportunities to win up to 25 times your cash on Prize Picks. Select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, and place your entry. It's that easy. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code BALL. That's code BALL on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
You cannot fight an alligator.
And why
They're
would
not
you try?
to be played with.
No.
Leave the gator alone.
Ash Chubbs took his hand off.
Exactly. Bit my damn hand off. It's not the gator going crazy. It's just the gator going gator. So stay away from the gator.
What do you think's gonna happen? It's a gator. It's not gonna end well for you.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. Mike Greenberg. Greeny.
It's hard to win games multiple years in a row when your leading rusher is your quarterback. Lamar Jackson is uniquely gifted, but even he cannot be expected to just do this year after year. Derrick Henry is a beast. He is one of one. He is a dynamic weapon, and he will help the Ravens get back to that point where they have a chance to get over the hump this time. I love the sign.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app.
Now streaming only on Disney+.
My name is Taylor. Welcome to the Eras Tour.
Experience Taylor Swift's record-breaking Eras Tour.
Does anyone here know the lyrics? Prove it!
Taylor Swift The Eras Tour, Taylor's version. With 4 additional acoustic songs. Now streaming only on Disney+.
Saturday on ESPN Radio. It's opening weekend for Major League Baseball.
Looking up at the track, it is gone. A solo shot for Harper.
We head to Philadelphia for a showdown between NL East rivals. Bryce Harper and the Phillies face Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Atlanta Braves.
Ronald Acuna Jr. with a bomb.
The Braves at the Phillies. Coverage begins Saturday at 3:30 Eastern with first pitch at 4 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Presented by Progressive Insurance.
Spin your passion into a business with Shopify and break sales records with the world's best converting checkout. Let's hear that one more time. The world's best converting checkout. Shopify's legendary checkout makes it easier for customers to shop on your website, across social media, and everywhere in between. Now that's music to your ears. Any way you spin it, you can be a smash hit with Shopify. Start your $1 a month trial today at shopify.com/records.
The Baseball Tonight podcast.
If we were to do a poll now in the aftermath of Garrett Cole injury, I think Spencer Strider would be picked by a lot of people as the best pitcher on the planet.
The Baseball Tonight podcast is on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I never bet on baseball or any other sports, or never have asked somebody to do it on my behalf. Up until a couple days ago, I didn't know that this was happening. Ipe has been stealing money from my account and has told lies.
He basically said that he can't vocalize just how difficult this has been. You could see him sort of on the verge of getting emotional.
Exactly how could he not know that a trusted friend was stealing from him? I find that hard to believe on some level, and yet he was convincing, at least to me today.
I'll give it to Shohei Ohtani. He did have some emotion toward the end about what was going on with his statement. Watched the whole thing yesterday. It's Carlin versus Joe, ESPN Radio.
You watched the whole thing yesterday?
I did.
How long was
10
that?
Minutes.
How long?
It was like 10 minutes.
That's not a big ask.
No, I didn't sit there for an hour and a half. What am I doing? Come on.
Well, did they start it on time? Sometimes they like to slow roll you with these things.
Pretty close to it, I believe.
You want to get in and get out.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those we want to grab the quarter hour, so kickoff's at 6:16.
Well, in this case, it was all about Ipe Matsuzara and he being Shohei Ohtani's interpreter stealing $4.5 million from Ohtani to pay off gambling debts. Now, there are so many questions around this, whether or not Ipe is taking the fall for Ohtani here. Let's just hear from Ohtani with the most basic statement of what he had to say yesterday. It's Ohtani with his new interpreter.
So I never bet on baseball or any other sports, or never have asked somebody to do it on my behalf. And I have never went through a bookmaker to bet on sports. Up until a couple days ago, I didn't know that this was happening. Just to kind of just go over the result, in conclusion, Ipe has been stealing money from my account and has told lies.
So here's my issue. They didn't allow any questions. It was simply a statement, which was not unsurprising. They did not in any way allow more than one or two cameras in the room. Joe, there are still way too many questions. The questions really did not get answered from Shohei Ohtani yesterday, other than his continued denial of the situation, and I have many, many, many questions that I want answers to. Such as, how does someone, first of all, get access to your account? How does someone transfer many times in different breakups of $500,000, $4.5 million out of your account without you, or really more importantly, I'm sure, numerous people that you have in charge of your money without them noticing at all, without it ever raising any kind of a red flag? And how is it exactly that the very first that you heard of anything was when Ipe is sitting there and addressing the entire team? I mean, those are just a couple right out of the gate.
Well, for starters, what we got yesterday was the lawyer's version of what's going to be happening moving forward, right? Things were a little messy. Lawyers weren't necessarily involved early on, so lots of people were given an opportunity to speak. Lots of people made mistakes. So they shut down all of that, bought themselves some time, put together the official statement. Here's the story moving forward. This is what we're going to be working with. Occam's razor, right? The simplest solution is almost always the best solution. In this case, it's possible Ipe, the translator, was gambling, got in deep, lost a lot of money, went to Ohtani like he said he did. Ohtani agreed to help him out, paid it off, and when that got made public, Ohtani and the people around him didn't necessarily realize how much trouble that was going to put him in. Remember, the thought process there could be, I don't gamble. I don't know anything about gambling. I got a ton of money. I like this guy. I'm going to try to help him out. Not thinking like, oh, wire fraud could be something I'm dealing with here. I'm just going to make some of these payments and help my guy out. Then it gets out that this is happening. Then you realize, look, you're still going to be in deep water even though you think you didn't do anything wrong. So now we got to clean up the story. It's possible that it's that. it's possible that Ohtani has done nothing wrong at all. How hard would it be to get access to this information and be able to handle these bank transfers? Feels like there's a lot of verifications that need to be able to take place to move money like that. But once you get through the first time, you know, the remaining 3, 4, 5, however many bank transfers after that could have been a little simpler. So I don't know. I don't know how much he was involved here. I know we're always looking for the deepest, darkest scandal. Was Ohtani betting baseball? Was he involved in the game? Did he pull out of the game early and it ended up cashing all these bets? But, you know, right now we have a lot more questions than answers to your original point.
Well, but to be clear, like I'm not rooting for this to be a mess. I'm not rooting for this to be Ohtani gambling. I just want some answers to the simple questions. A simple question that you asked last week. How is it exactly that a guy who's an interpreter and reportedly made around $500,000 a year gets a credit line with a bookie of that much money? Like, how does that happen?
That's the biggest question out there, because you are not getting a line of credit with an illegal bookie to that extent unless that bookie is crystal clear that he's going to be paid when you lose. Not if you lose, when you lose.
I understand lawyers being overly protective and wanting to avoid any problems whatsoever, but if you are someone that is completely not guilty of any of this, why are there not even any questions whatsoever that are allowed in the moment?
Oh, because you can't risk any sort of slip-ups. You already had that. You gave a guy 90 minutes to sit down and give an interview, and he royally botched this. Whether all of it was lies or all of it was the truth, he royally botched this. This is why rule number 1 is shut your mouth. Always shut your mouth when you're in trouble. Shut your mouth. And yet so many people think, no, let me just go ahead and talk and explain things. I'm really smart. I'll be able to make this go away.
Well, but my point
never works that way.
Right. But they had, as we pointed out, they had a few days to really kind of put together the PR plan.
You're still not taking questions.
Well,
why would you, let me ask you this. Why would you take questions when you don't have to take questions?
Well, just to kind of drive home the point a little bit further that you're innocent in the whole thing. But I understand it. I'm not going to knock him for not taking questions.
First question out of the gate. All right, we're going to take questions here. We want to be able to prove that we got nothing to hide. How did that money get wired to that bookie? Please take us through all the steps. How did they get that information? How could he possibly have your banking information if he's just an interpreter? Right there, you don't want to answer anything, because that's immediately going to come up in court. Because we're not just talking about MLB's investigation of Ohtani. We're talking about the FBI's investigation into both these individuals. There is going to be a lot that takes place here. And then eventually, if you're Ohtani, you're probably going to sue this guy to some capacity. You're going to press charges against him. Everything that is uttered, everything is going into the public record and is going to be used in the future.
Joe, I hate to be this guy, and it's unfair to Ohtani at the moment. But there have been too many instances over the last 10 to 12 to 15 to 20 years that we have seen athletes in sticky situations deny until it just comes out that it's true. So maybe, as I said, I'm being unfair to Ohtani, but I find it harder when we see things like this to give him the benefit of the doubt right away.
Here's what you do. And this is the Joe Fortenbaugh School of Crisis Management. Shut your mouth, move forward, do nothing about this, say nothing about this. If there's one thing we know about America in the year 2024, there's another scandal right around the corner. We have very short attention spans. We will be moving on from this very quickly. It is your job to help facilitate that process. The more you speak, the more you do, the worse it's going to get. We are now through the interview phase. What's next? No one even knows what's coming next now that he's talked. Season's going to start. Dodgers are going to limit media availability. No one's going to answer any questions. Between now and the next time a piece of evidence surfaces, there are going to be so many scandals in this country that are going to take our eyes, our mind, our thoughts off this. It's going to be old news by the time we get to the next piece of evidence.
You think this is going away?
I think it's absolutely going away. I don't think it's going to be swept under the rug and we're never going to hear about it again. This is, in terms of this being a major story, it's going away. You think baseball wants this in the spotlight?
I know baseball doesn't want this in the spotlight, but when the feds are involved, that doesn't mean it's going away.
That they're going to do everything they can to keep our eyes off of this. Just don't worry. We got an election in November. How often do you think people are going to be paying attention to this?
I understand, but when the biggest star in the sport is involved in something like this, it's not going away.
Baseball playoffs right around the corner, and then you got summer vacations, and then you got the start of football season. Basketball playoffs, I meant. March Madness, all that stuff.
I get it. I'm sorry if, Creighton's not taking my attention away from Ohtani.
We'll have a little show bet here. Little show bet. Let's track how many days we talk about this story from now moving forward. Let's see how many days it makes it into the show.
Okay. I'm on board for that.
Ipe has the over in that bet.
Was that something everyone could hear?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what I should do with that comment.
Was it, in fact, something everyone could hear or not?
Yeah. I can repeat it if you guys would like.
I was like, if I start laughing and no one heard that, then I don't know what ends up happening there. It sounds odd.
Maybe it was Ohtani.
Were you just, how much Ipe material do you have back there? Quite a bit.
Oh, I got my Ipe play of the day.
I don't know. If I keep laughing, am I getting in trouble here? What do I do?
Carlin versus Joe,
Yeah,
ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80. That's what you do. Like you said, shut your mouth.
Get us out of here.
An absolute bombshell dropped by Mike Tannenbaum in his latest mock draft. You're going to want to hear that after I tell you about this from our friends over at Indeed, who could not be prouder of me than they are at the moment. It is the perfect time to gear up and connect to quality candidates. And there's no better way to do that than through Indeed, the hiring platform that makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates all in the same place. Their interview tool helps you schedule and conduct video interviews right from your employer dashboard. Nix the hassle. Start hiring. Indeed.com/credit.
Welcome and happy opening day to everyone. The Texas Rangers, for the first time ever, are World Series champions.
The World Series champion Texas Rangers welcome Cody Bellinger and the Chicago Cubs. Coverage begins Thursday at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
Planning for spring at Lowe's means big savings on outdoor power equipment, and Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Buy one select Ego string trimmer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery free. That's up to a $299 value. Power through spring with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
If you're like most people, you've had your fair share of financial questions. Questions like, can I afford my son's travel hockey team? What if my daughter doesn't get that soccer scholarship? Will I be able to enjoy golf in retirement? At Empower, we know these questions can be stressful. We're here to help answer your what ifs and empower what's next. Join 18 million Americans and take control of your financial future. Start today at empower.com.
Tax day is coming.
Oh, no.
But if you sign up for Robinhood Gold's IRA with a 3% match, you can get up to $195 for the 2023 tax year.
Oh, yeah.
Sign up at Robinhood.com/boost by tax day to get the biggest contribution match on the market. Subscription fees apply.
Investing involves risk. 3% match requires gold for 1 year from first match. Must keep IRA for 5 years. Robinhood Financial, LLC, member SIPC.
Get to the live events you love with the assist from Vivid Seats. Whether it's the upcoming baseball season, basketball, or hockey, experience it live with a 100% buyer guarantee. And with great deals on great seats, being there is all that matters. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards you can earn with every ticket purchase, including surprise seat upgrades, birthday discounts, free tickets, and more. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
NBA Wednesday on ESPN Radio.
Finds KD, contested, triple is good! How about that for a pressure shot?
Superstars collide at Mile High. Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns fighting to escape the play-in tournament go head-to-head with Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, who have their sights on the Western Conference 1 seed.
Spins, scores, Nikola Jokic.
The Suns at the Nuggets. Coverage begins tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern, with tip-off at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. Presented by Indeed. This is Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Trucker Nab, best and worst sports month, my friend. What do you have?
You guys are overthinking this.
Okay.
In the last decade, end of December, you can even early January has been the best month because that's when the Cowboy Nation is getting eliminated with Dakota Prescott as your captain. Raiders!
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hey everyone, it's Adrian Wojnarowski, host of the Woj Pod, where you'll get interesting conversations with the NBA's top newsmakers.
When I started thinking front office, I went all in front office.
Including the game's bright stars of today.
Here with Celtics star Jason Tatum. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Behind-the-scenes stories from coaches and executives.
Things go well. It's like the union did great. When things go poorly, the president now CJ's fault.
And breakdowns from analysts and insiders.
Doesn't seem Philly is in all that much of a rush.
Listen to the Woj Pod wherever you get your podcast. The Baseball Tonight Podcast.
Garrett Cole's out for an extended period of time. How devastating is this for the Yankees?
Huge, Buster. This is, at least for me, the best pitcher in the game. He is the only really, really solid guy that they have in that rotation. I know Marcus Stroman has a chance, but I thought they needed another starting pitcher, even with Garrett Cole at his best.
The Baseball Tonight Podcast is on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts. This is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. NFL owners today approved a massive revamp of the kickoff, the most significant on-field rule change in years for the league. Included in the tweaks, other than the kicker and returner, no other players on the kickoff or receiving teams can move until the ball hits the ground or a player inside the landing zone. No fair catches or surprise onside kicks are allowed. Possible tweaks over time are anticipated. NFL owners also voted to move the trade deadline to the Tuesday after Week 9 and added intentional grounding, roughing the passer, and hits out of bounds to the list of plays Replay Assist can advise officials on. The NFL plans to play a game on Christmas Day this year, despite the holiday falling on a Wednesday. Teams to be determined. NBA LeBron James out for the Lakers tonight against the Bucks due to lingering soreness in his left ankle. LA currently 9th in the West, 3 out of 6 to avoid the play-in.
The NFL Draft on ESPN Radio.
It's time to have some fun.
Live from the heart of downtown Detroit.
This is the most fascinating NFL draft I've ever been associated with.
The Chicago Bears select
the NFL Draft, Thursday, April 25th on ESPN Radio, ESPN, and on ABC.
We could be
1 month from yesterday, the NFL Draft, right here on ESPN Radio and, of course, on ESPN and ABC. Carlin versus Joe on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. And there are mock drafts all over the place, but when you get them from Mel Kiper, you get the most expert analysis, and you get them from Mike Tannenbaum, who doesn't do it from the what he's hearing, the insider perspective, but he puts together a mock draft for how he would handle it as a longtime NFL executive. And Mike's been in these spots before where he has made big trades on draft day that have landed him the likes of Darrelle Revis and Mark Sanchez. But listen, the point is, Mike was always aggressive in getting after it. And his latest mock draft is up on ESPN.com. He joined Unsportsmanlike this morning. And the biggest bombshell for Mike came at the 4th overall pick.
J.J. McCarthy, quarterback, University of Michigan, to the Arizona Cardinals. And I have the Cardinals then trading Kyler Murray and a third-round pick to Minnesota for the 11th pick overall. J.J. McCarthy is 6 years younger than Kyler Murray. He's more durable. Kyler Murray hasn't played a full season, 4 seasons. And most importantly, guys, he's $27 million per year cheaper. So to me, it's an easy decision. Nothing against Kyler Murray. I think he's still a good quarterback. But if I could have a younger, more durable, and $27 million to improve my team, that's what I'm doing if I'm the Cardinals.
I love it as a concept, Joseph, but I don't know that if I'm the Arizona Cardinals that I want to do it. And I get the idea that you get the benefit of getting the reset on the contract, right? People are getting sucked in on J.J. McCarthy, that's fine. If they still remotely believe in Kyler Murray, the Cardinals can get themselves better in a lot of different ways by trading away that pick and adding more picks, or by drafting the premier wide receiver in this draft in Marvin Harrison.
Love the deal for Arizona, hate it for Minnesota, because it all comes down to Murray. I don't want Murray. He hasn't shown leadership. He hasn't shown commitment to the team. He hasn't really shown all that much on the field in how many seasons. I don't like the contract. I'm moving on. I am absolutely moving on if I can get this deal done. And I can reset everything, start with a new quarterback, buy myself some time, not spend as much money. This July, let me put this in perspective for you. This July will mark the 2-year anniversary of when Kyler Murray signed a 5-year, $230 million extension. Do you know when that extension starts?
I believe this year.
Yeah, it starts this year. It hasn't even started yet. 5 years, $230 million. When they gave it to him 2 years ago, it looked outrageous. And now you realize 2 years later, off a horrific injury that cost him quite a bit of time, it hasn't even started yet. There's only 4 guys in the NFL at the quarterback position who are scheduled to make more money in terms of average annual value than Kyler Murray. Joe Burrow, you'd rather have him. Justin Herbert, you'd rather have him. Lamar Jackson just won his second MVP. And Jalen Hurts. That is a lot of money for a guy who has done very little winning, has a lot of questions around him from a leadership perspective, from a culture perspective, from a can we trust this guy perspective. Career stats are okay. 2 touchdowns to every interception isn't great at all. I would not want it. And I love what Mike's suggesting here, because you take advantage of Minnesota's desperateness. Kevin O'Connell's hitting year 3. They just lost Cousins. They need a quarterback, but they're not in a position to draft one of the top 4. They got to trade up. So you can sit there and you can try to make something like this happen. Maybe they'll take on Murray's deal because they're desperate, and it allows you to reset everything. I love it from Arizona's perspective.
From the Minnesota perspective, it is just something that I don't think makes a great deal of sense for them. I get the idea of trying to get someone who can help you immediately. But, Joe, I would much rather press the reset button if I were Minnesota. Like, if I'm Minnesota, I'm not thinking about trading for Kyler Murray. I'm thinking about trading up to that 4th pick. I have a lot more interest in that. I'm with you on Kyler Murray from the standpoint that I don't know that I can win with him long term. And if that's the case, even if you're giving me a 3rd-round pick back, I'm not giving you the 11th overall pick for Kyler Murray. The one part of it that does make sense for Arizona, the resetting of the contract, yes, but also, remember, Arizona would then have 3 first-round picks this year. 3.
Yeah, they'd be in great shape.
Because they've got another one at 27.
They'd be in great shape. If you're Arizona, though, and you're looking at Minnesota, you can tell them, look, you don't have to make a deal for Kyler Murray. You can do whatever you want. But you do run the risk of us just drafting McCarthy at 4 and then us trading Kyler Murray to, say, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Seahawks. You know how many teams out there need a quarterback? There are just enough where someone probably wants to bite on Murray because they're trying to save their job. And if it's not Minnesota, what's the plan? Because you lost Cousins. You wouldn't have any of the top 4 quarterbacks at this point. What are you going to do? Are you going to go in the next season with Bo Nix as the starter? And if that doesn't go well, it's Desmond Ridder in Atlanta all over again, and people are losing jobs. So Minnesota's desperate here. They've already tipped their hand by trading for that additional first-round pick. They need to make something happen. If Arizona's unwilling to do business with them, or if the best they can do is Kyler Murray, I don't like it at all. But I don't know what other options they have that are going to keep them from losing their jobs if this season goes south.
Now, if you're trading them away, you are swallowing the big cap hit this year, but that does not scare teams away nearly as much.
No, you're not competing this year.
Yeah. If you're Arizona, you would deal with that. I feel like it's a lot to ask of the Minnesota Vikings, but I also feel like if I'm Arizona, maybe I'm not all that far away. Maybe I can take one more crack with Murray, and then if somebody wants to back up the truck on J.J. McCarthy, unless I'm convinced he is going to be this year's C.J. Stroud, I can do that. I can absolutely force them to back up the truck. Because remember, the Cardinals have those 2 first-round picks. They've already got 5 picks in the first 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. They don't have to do a damn thing when it comes to that. If you want to go and get that pick, you're going to pay me an awful lot for it. I understand it from that standpoint. If you are Arizona and trying to offload Murray, I'm still tempted by the talent. I'm still a little tempted by the talent. It's Carlin versus Joe. ESPN Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 80. But is J.J. McCarthy even going to be available at the 4th pick? Let me be clear. It's all getting absurd, and we'll explain next. Carlin versus Joe, ESPN Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 80.
NBA Wednesday on ESPN Radio. Kevin Durant and the Suns fighting to escape the play-in tournament go head-to-head with Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets.
Dribbling in, spins, scores. Nikola Jokic.
Coverage begins tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern with tip-off at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. Presented by Indeed.
I need directions for paying down debt.
Starting route. Apply for a SoFi personal loan and consolidate your debt into one fixed payment. Turn right into a positive outlook and get $5,000 to $100,000 as soon as the same day you sign with no fees required.
Got it. You could get out of high-interest credit card debt with a SoFi personal loan. View your rate at SoFi.com/debt in 60 seconds with no impact to your credit score. Loans originated by SoFi Bank N.A. Member FDIC. Terms and conditions at SoFi.com/debt. NMLS 696891.
Evan Cohen here from Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio for True Green. Are you ready to elevate your lawn game without breaking the bank? True Green has been the trusted choice for over 2 million homeowners for over 50 years. Visit TrueGreen.com and discover the easiest and affordable way to achieve a pro-level lawn guaranteed. Plus, enjoy True Green's verified price matching, ensuring you get the best lawn for the best price. Visit TrueGreen.com and transform your lawn effortlessly. That's TrueGreen.com. Your dream lawn is just around the corner.
The regular season is heating up. New stars are emerging, and that means more opportunities to win up to 25 times your cash on Prize Picks. Select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, and place your entry. It's that easy. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code BALL. That's code BALL on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Before Shopify, were you wondering, where are my sales at? Now you're selling with Shopify, the global commerce platform supercharging your selling. You have no problem selling online, in person, on social media, and beyond. Gary, easy on the cha-ching.
Oh, sorry, but my Shopify sales are through the roof.
Start selling with Shopify today and discover how millions of businesses around the world use Shopify to ignite their selling. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/play. Shopify.com/play.
When danger is imminent, will you be prepared? Now many mobile devices can bring you critical information from local sources you trust. With the unique sound and vibration, wireless emergency alerts keep you in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
NBA Wednesday on ESPN Radio.
Finds KD, contested, triple is good! How about that for a pressure shot?
Superstars collide at Mile High. Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns fighting to escape the play-in tournament go head-to-head with Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, who have their sights on the Western Conference 1 seed.
Spins, scores, Nikola Jokic.
The Suns at the Nuggets. Coverage begins tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern with tip-off at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. Presented by Indeed.
This is Jerome from Birmingham, previously from Paul Feinbaum Show.
Can you handle a Yankee call from Ohio? Elliot is up next.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Paul, thanks for taking my call. I might not be in a bracket, Paul, but I can bring it. I can bring it every day of the week so they can bring my name up. I'm bringing it.
According to whom?
According to the world.
The Paul Feinbaum Show. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC Network.
Now streaming only on Disney+.
My name is Taylor. Welcome to the Eras Tour.
Experience Taylor Swift's record-breaking Eras Tour.
Does anyone here know the lyrics? Prove it!
Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, Taylor's version. With 4 additional acoustic songs. Now streaming only on Disney+.
The Low Post Podcast with Zach Lowe.
The book felt kind of written on B.I. like he's just a very good player who will make a couple all-star teams here and there. He's not an all-NBA level player. It's nothing that's going to pop off the stat sheet. In fact, it's almost the opposite if you just look at scoring. I just think he's a better player who's fitting better into a number 2, number 1.5 kind of role than he ever has before. And I don't think he's gotten enough credit for what's happening there.
Check out the Low Post Podcast on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts. Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Why do I need to see each individually sliced piece of bacon? That doesn't make any sense.
There has to be a reason for it, right?
But what's the reason?
I
if
don't
they
know.
sell it other ways, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's like, are you showing off every single slice of bacon?
Bacon is packaged this way to extend its shelf life and maintain freshness.
When I go to the store and get a pack of bacon, I ain't like, man, I need to save this bacon for next month.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
This time belongs to those who want it most. The rivals. The statement makers.
Puts up a three-pointer. Bang!
You want that shot?
Oh, he puts it in!
Take it. That stop? Make it. This time is where youth is tested and greats are challenged. Clippers, Sixers at 7:30 Eastern. Suns, Nuggets at 10. Wednesday on ESPN. Presented by State Farm.
It was great to hear, incredible to hear. I know it was sincere. It was unsolicited. Numerous GMs, numerous head coaches, couldn't say enough good things. And it was, you could just see it, right? His pro day, well, that's literally, I'd never seen a better one.
Oh, dear God.
He loves him. He won him a national championship.
Jim Harbaugh on J.J. McCarthy's pro day. It is the greatest single pro day in the history of pro days. That's what it was. Once again, reminding you that Mel Kiper Jr. said that pro days are a joke. Carlin versus Joe, ESPN Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 80. So football Jesus continues to climb up the charts there, Joseph. J.J. McCarthy, now all of a sudden, there are rumors that he may